Some mother-in-laws can be supportive, loving, and kind. Some can be kind of a pain in the ass, and some can be drug addicts, alcoholics, and liars.
They're crazy and insane. My crazy family.
Welcome to the program. We want to hear your crazy family stories. You can write them in at crazyfampod.com. That's crazyfampod.com, or by calling 833-CRAY-FAM. That's 833-272-9326. And if you like the program, you want to listen to it commercial-free, binge away on advanced episodes, the whole archive ad-free, then check us out on Apple Podcasts. And be sure to press subscribe there. You can even check that out for 3 days free to get access to all of those extras. Tony and Stacey Cole with you on today's episode. What's going on?
Well, as we're recording this, we're walking into the Christmas holiday. So I imagine we are going to have an influx of people sending in stories about what's going to happen in the next few days.
Yes, it's time to start taking notes. And, or at this point, when you're listening, reflecting on what happened over the holidays. Yes, there will be a lot to be discussed. But yeah.
Oh, the holidays, it's such a magical time, and it's such a fucking evil time for a lot of people.
It is. It is. I feel like this year we're going into it okay. I don't have a lot of anxiety about it, so that's good. There's always a little bit, but I don't know. The big thing that I'm happy about, and this is just me, and I'm finally going to say this because I've always wanted to say this, but I don't think I've ever been able to say this. I'm engaged, and we know that, but my future in-laws, lovely human beings. Very much enjoy spending time with them, which I've
that's amazing.
Never been really able to truly say all that honestly for anyone that I've been married to. And we went up there the other day just to have some soup on a cold day. Her mom made something called pasoli, and it's delicious. And it was just lovely. We had a nice little visit. It was great. Realtors that I just hired because I'm moving. I know people are like, what? You got the phone? Yeah, I am. Not far. We're just going to go up there so we're closer together. And realtors are actually family friends, but very good realtor. And met them the other day, and they're very kind of mom and daddish, but again, they hung out with me. They came, saw the house. We ended up hanging out for like 3 hours after, having some drinks and just talking, and just nice, good humans. And I haven't had that in my life ever. Really, it's on that side. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you, because when you have a shitty in-law,
yeah,
and as we've noticed, it seems to always be the mother-in-law. Once in a while, the father-in-law is an issue, but more often than not, it is the mother-in-law.
Yeah, and
it can absolutely destroy your marriage. I've had a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a bad one now. Mine is currently elderly and unfortunately suffering from dementia.
Yeah.
But she was always very lovely to me.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a close relationship, but we didn't have a bad relationship.
Sure.
The one before, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She was an alcoholic.
Uh-huh.
She accused me of stealing her son.
Stealing her son?
Yeah, stealing her son.
Like how? Like what is that? Like because you took him away from her?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
He liked spending time with me, so therefore I stole him. When she got drunk, she would just lash out at me. I was obviously the issue.
Yeah.
And when I had surgery for an ovarian cyst, we don't need to go into anatomy here, but it was the size of a tangerine.
Wow. Okay.
And that's big. That's big and painful.
Yeah.
I was on a morphine pump, and I remember she came up to me and she said, "This better not cause you to not be able to have kids." Oh, I was laying in the bed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Post-surgery. And that's what she said to me. The rest of the family was out in the hall, and she stayed behind and said that to me. And yeah, I was on a lot of narcotics at the time, but I know that that's what she said to me.
Did she deny? Did you ever tell anybody? Did you tell your husband at the time?
I did tell my ex-husband because the marriage didn't survive.
Yeah.
and he, he's like, you were on a lot of medication. I'm like, you know what? I know she said this. I know. I fucking know she did.
Well,
I could write stories into our podcast about the shit she pulled.
And I'm sure it wasn't just that. I'm sure it had been a pattern of behavior that he had to have seen. Did he ever recognize it, or was it like, well, that's just mom?
He did.
Okay.
He did. My senior prom, he was a year younger than me. My senior prom and his junior prom, she got drunk the night of prom and went after me.
Oh my God.
Not physically, but verbally.
Yeah.
Just before we left, we were taking pictures and she had some sort of a meltdown, and he forced her to call and apologize to me the next day. So he was very aware of the shit she was pulling.
Yeah.
He knew that she was an alcoholic. But the big thing was she worked in the airline industry and had been injured during a flight. And that's why she drank.
So, okay. She was self-medicating.
Okay.
She was self-medicating.
Fun.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So they were busy, enabling her and making excuses. I have an L4, L5 herniation in my back, and I'm not a raging alcoholic. So,
well, yeah, I mean, there's right ways to handle things, and there's wrong ways to handle things.
Right.
Relying on alcohol as your medication, never usually a good idea, ever.
No.
So, but that's, what some people do. Not that opioids or anything like that are any better, but everybody kind of handles things their own ways and different. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm really happy for you that you've got in-laws that you don't have to think about on a daily basis. Like, now what are they going to fucking do?
Yeah.
You know, that they're just going to let your marriage do what it needs to do and grow and thrive. And they're just going to do their own thing. And you guys will get together and have soup and have a lovely time and go about your business.
Yeah. My God. Wow. Well, that's, those are some interesting, it's this wealth of, you go through life and you go, oh, I can use this for the show now. I was just saying that off the air. I said, I think the last 10 years of my life prepared me to do the show.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Some of the shit that you go through, maybe we really are going through it for a reason. It just prepares you for the next journey.
If the only reason was to do this show, I don't know that that's fair, but
was it worth it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could look at it then, well, maybe I'm helping other people by them hearing the stories, and then they're, they feel, understand, and they don't feel alone or something of that nature. But I don't know.
For the greater good that you went through this, Tony.
For the greater good, yes. All for the greater good. All right, what do we got? What do we got today?
All right. Well, I am currently no contact with my mother-in-law. Well, yeah, see, here we go. Because she's a drug addict and an alcoholic who keeps lying and living a double life. She wants to be a doting, involved grandma, but also snorts perks. What's perks?
Percocet, I'm thinking.
Okay. Damn, where's she getting them? She steals money, and of course she drinks. After back and forth with rehab over the years, me and my husband have cut her off from our lives for the sake of our children and my mental state. Mm-hmm. She is an emotional manipulator who makes you feel bad for her, so you give in, and then she lies and lets you down over and over again. It's just a vicious circle with these people. Obviously, no contact with her has made it awkward for family things. Either we won't go if she's around, or her and the father-in-law don't come. Mm-hmm. We've reiterated that her choices have caused this, not us. Father-in-law enables her behavior. He blames her for not being able to see the kids, but thinks we should also give in because we can't do this forever because it's hurting everyone. Well, no, she's hurting everyone. And she can't get better if she can't be a part of our lives. I will not give in. She will never be alone with my kids. And I'm tired of her putting me, her son, and everyone else through mental gymnastics. We are on the same page for now, but I feel if she keeps her sobriety, which I doubt, we will move to supervised visits eventually, which I'm okay with, but then I will be pressured to leave my kids with her, which I don't think I'll ever be comfortable with, ever. She is so good at lying.
Stick with your gut. If you don't have to leave your children with her, don't.
Yeah.
I mean, this, I don't know. I mean, is there a way where they, I know in some states there are like grandparent laws where they can have supervised visits. I don't know if they can ever like truly, get, unsupervised, or that be like a court granted thing. I could be wrong.
I don't, can a court grant visits by a grandparent?
It can. In some states it can.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know that.
It's a state by state thing, but it can. But yeah,
but if she's been in rehab, I could see where you could make a case that you don't trust her judgment. And not saying that people who've gone through rehab can't change their lives. They absolutely can. But you as a parent, I would think you have a right to say, I can't do this.
Yeah, you have a right. They're your children. You should. I mean, I don't care. I mean, yes, people can get better through rehab. I agree. And there's plenty of people who can go through the motions and work the system pretty damn well, and come out the other side smelling like fresh cherries. And then you're like, oh, shit, these are like alcohol infused cherries. Like, these are not fresh cherries.
Right.
And I don't know. I have no idea what, is going on here. But sometimes, someone does that much damage. Even if they got better, there's nothing wrong. There's no shame in saying, you know what, damage has been done. I'm moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's okay that you put you first, and you put your husband first, and you put your kids first, and what you need. She's made this choice. And I understand it's a sickness. It's a disease. I get it. But as also having been in a situation with an alcoholic mother-in-law, you don't have to be around her.
No. And yes, I agree. It's a sickness, it's a disease, but you know what? It's also up to you if you want to deal with it or not. Just because they have this sickness or disease doesn't obligate you in any way, shape, or form to be any part of a support system or anything to that person whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's your call. But yeah, I mean, it's sad, it's horrible, but it's up to you. It is your life to live. You have far more control and choices than you may think. And that's what a lot of people forget is, I have to do this because of this. No, you don't always. Take a look at it. Legally, do you have to? If there's things like that, sure, understand that. And if you need to argue that, then you get an attorney. But there's a lot of things that are not legal ramifications other than hurting someone's feelings. And that person maybe kind of had it coming, and that person needs to deal with the shit that they made and the bed that they made, and they're getting better. Great. They should be doing that 100% for themselves. And
we all make choices in our lives.
And there's
when
not
we
going to be
decide to open up that wine bottle or whatever drug of choice you're using, you're making a choice.
Yeah. And at the end of the road, other human beings are not necessarily the prize that you get, because they have choices too of if they want to even be part of this game anymore with you. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But number one, you got to do it because you don't want to die. That should be number one. And then, and have it in your mind. I do want to have this relationship with my family. I do want that. But then it just because you did it doesn't mean suddenly the gates are open and everything's wonderful. No, it's going to take some time if it works at all. Sometimes too much damage has been done, and you just got to say, don't fucking care what you do. You could come out tomorrow and, be confirmed by the church as the next fucking saint. Right? I still don't want anything to do with you. And that's okay.
Perfectly okay to say that.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't be influenced by other people who like try to guilt you. Well, like
it's your mother.
Your
mother-in-law.
The shit that went on. Yeah, it's not always something you need to revisit. But
no.
Thank you for that one. What else we got?
Well, it says, I don't know what to do or how to help my mom feel better. She has been a stay-at-home mom for over 25 years. She's worked on and off in restaurants or in retail. My dad always complained about money, how she's got a spending habit, how he doesn't want to support her financially. And the reason he doesn't do anything nice for her because she racks up too much in hospital bills. So he left. He essentially wrote a note saying that he hated her and that she was dead weight. He turned off her credit cards and bought himself an apartment. I try to understand how he feels about being used financially, but I feel like what he did was wrong, and he shouldn't have talked to her like that. I can't say I know their relationship. It was pretty much dead by the time I was in elementary school. I know my mom can't really support herself financially, so I don't know what will happen with my childhood home, and I just don't know how to support her emotionally. Wow.
Well, I'll say this. You're right. You don't know their relationship if it was pretty much dead by the time you were in elementary school. And there may have been a lot of abuse there coming from mom towards dad. If this is the way that he's feeling of, I can't continue on like this. Maybe that was going both ways. Maybe it was just the other way. I don't know.
But interesting. I'm going to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
Interesting that you leaned more toward dad in this story, which I didn't at all.
I've been
and you
through
just
it.
opened my eyes.
I've been through it where I had years of being abused, and it got to the point, and it wasn't, I never got divorced because of finances or anything like that. It was more so fearing for my own safety and my safety of my daughter. But those were other factors. When you look at the big scheme of shit, it's like, oh my God, like, just what the hell were you doing and what were you thinking? And I mean, it gets to the point where you're like, I don't want to be homeless and poor. And if we kept going down this path financially, just insanity wise, and the only way that you can keep someone happy sometimes is with finances, which is not fucking love.
Right.
You feel like you got to cut it off. And so, I mean, hospital bills here is what is being argued. Okay. That's pretty kind of cruel to like not pay, or maybe he did pay the hospital bills and then left. I don't know. I mean, you pay those bills as long as that's your responsibility and you're with someone. That's what you do, whether you like them or not. But if at some point the bills were paid, which I can't tell if that happened or not, but if he did everything that he could do, and then for his mental health, he had to say, I'm out. You got to have to kind of understand that this is an adult that's writing in, correct?
Yes.
25 years. Okay. So he doesn't have the responsibility of taking care of you anymore. That would be the other factor that would make someone stay. Or this would be an inappropriate thing to do would be if there's a child involved, just walking up and running away. That would never be okay. They're both adults. You're an adult. There's no one financially sitting there being, other than her, supported. But again, she's an adult. This, really should be settled more so in a court and a divorce. And then that would be how it's handled. But I would imagine
and she should be able to get some.
There should be support immediately. So what should be happening here is the wife should be going to court. If they're separated, then the court can order that he pay some sort of alimony or support to her. That's totally acceptable and fine. But maybe this was dad just saying, I'm out, and, the court will settle this, how we need to have it settled. But I think as the child, it does look cruel. It does look mean and horrible, but you also were right. You don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, that's a really valid point.
Unless they share it and there's more we don't know.
Yeah. And I didn't, of course, being the female, I came in like, oh my God, how could he do this to her? And I didn't think that, there could be an element of she's been awful to him. We don't know. We don't have those details. But it's interesting how we all use our own perspective when we hear a story like this.
Well, and there's stories, I mean, the other way on this too is, she could have, thought, the time is coming and he's going to finally give up and I'm going to take a whole bunch of money and run. That happens too.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people look at that as, well, she's a scorned woman. No, a lot of times, I mean, sometimes yes. And sometimes if there's abuse and all that sort of shit, yes. But just the immediate run to judgment of, oh, she deserved that. Not always the case. A lot of times people do that sort of shit because they were being abused or they were the ones being the abuser. And they realize, their time's up and the other person's going to call them out on it at some point. But yeah, there's plenty of, each case is different. There's plenty of cases where it is the opposite. But I'm just trying to point out that there's a lot of times where the men are being abused that is brushed under the rug. Number one, because guys don't like to talk about that
Right.
or express that. But you know what? It fucking happens, and it happens a lot more than you think.
Well, and I'm glad that you're able to share that perspective, because there's an element of our society that doesn't want men to come out and say that they've been abused. It makes them sound weak, and it doesn't, because if you are a really good manipulator,
Yeah.
anybody can be a victim. You can go after anybody, so it doesn't make you weak. It just means somebody was really good at what they were doing.
It does, and then you may be the person sitting there going, what do I do? And you end up sitting through it. Women do this. Men do this. Women, you hear about it far more, because there's like a whole network television designed to share these stories called Lifetime.
Right.
But it happens to men too. It totally does. And you sit there as the parent going, I don't want to leave because I don't trust the safety of my children with this person. So I'm going to endure this. I can tough this out. Until it gets to the point where you can't tough it out. And things have to happen where they will. But it's something, there's abuse goes both ways is my point. And in no way am I ever, and I'm very sensitive to women who've been abused. I'm not at all taking away from that whatsoever. I'm just saying there's more to the story. And I don't know this story well enough to say either way. I'm just saying, look at both perspectives a little bit here before we make a rush to judgment as the man just being the villain here. Because I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that that's the case.
No, and I'm really thankful for your perspective, because I didn't have that going into the story, and I think we need to have that a little more often. That men are victims as well, and it's not just women who endure this. And I think maybe if we gave men the opportunity to speak a little more emotionally, maybe we wouldn't have these issues.
If it was safer to, but the thing is, half the time you speak about it and you get accused, like, well,
you're a fucking wuss.
You're a wuss, or it's looked at from the other side too, of like, oh, you're discounting what women go through. Not at all. I've been more than sympathetic to all that shit for my entire life, and I always will be. I'm that. I'm always on the side of women who are.
Oh fuck!
So,
you've been one of my biggest defenders when I was being attacked by somebody in the workplace.
It's just perspective. It's just take a look at the whole picture here and really grasp what's going on. It could have been 50-50 on both sides. Both were being shitty to each other. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely.
But
who knows who started it? But it does take two to tango.
It does. I'd be curious to know what more of it is. I'm just saying, if you're looking at it from your parents' perspective and you already know you really don't know their relationship well enough, then be careful on your judgments until you do know more. Or if you don't want to know more, that's fine. Then just have your own respective relationship with each on your own way. And by the way, your mom is not your responsibility.
And that's the tough one, because if you are in a codependent relationship, which might have been the case, it's really hard to just walk away and go, well, she's an adult, she's going to be getting support. If she needs to hop on welfare for a little bit, she can do that, or she can go get a job. There are ways for her to support herself and keep a roof over her head and some food in her mouth. There's a way to do it, but this tremendous guilt that you're feeling and torment, you need to address that, because mom is an adult in an adult situation, and she can figure this out.
And here's what I hear in this story. The way the daughter is feeling this guilt now of like, how is she going to survive? How is she going to get by? Men feel that way quite often when they're being the ones being abused, of like, I'm being abused. This is shitty. This is horrible. I really can't deal with this very well mentally. It's taking a toll on me, but I also can't just walk away, because what the fuck is this person going to do? They put all their eggs in a basket of pretty much just being paid for with everything. And then what do? And they take advantage of things too. And it's like, well, that's where you have to take a step back and say, well, everyone's an adult here. And I've seen so many people, and this is what always gets me when you get to the situation where it's a grown ass adult. And it's like, well, they've had this sort of lifestyle for however many years. You know what? People are thrown shit sandwiches all the fucking time. And when they have no choice, they usually pull themselves out and become a better person for it. This whole, well, they're an adult, but let's handle them like a toddler and just kind of hand them everything. Bullshit. Pull your fucking shit together. I mean, if there's joint money here that should be divvied up fairly, divvy it up fairly. 110%. I agree with that. Give people what they are owed in a fair way, especially if you've been married for 25 years. That's a good, easy 50-50 argument to be made. But beyond, what's fair, and you're an adult and get your shit together, okay? Because if you're saying you can't, or everyone has excuses, I can give you 100 other examples of how somebody was dealt something that they did not deserve and got their shit together and didn't live the victim mentality for the rest of their fucking life. It can be done, and you'll be a better person for it if they do that, or they'll be a better person if they do that. But it's hard. There's a lot of bullshit out there. But just because the dad finally said, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't keep being taken advantage of. I can't keep basically supporting someone who is not in this relationship other than for my money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fair game, and if you're in that point to say, I'm out. And it would be fair game if it was the opposite way too.
No, it's a great point. Absolutely.
So, yeah. There's my rant. I'm sure someone will think
but it's a good one. It's a very good one.
Someone will take like 3 words out of it and summarize it that way and go, you said this. Like, yeah, you know what?
Nah.
Fuck you.
Nah. Nope, you're misinformed. So listen to the whole podcast.
Yep.
Our next story, and I think it applies here too. This is an interesting one. It says, only my sister and I live in our house that was owned by our mom. Being the older of the two, I took over my mom's business as my sister is so stubborn and lazy. She doesn't want anything to do with it, and she just wants the money. I work for both of us. I cook for us, clean the house, fix the house, do the laundry, and even fold and iron our clothes. Our mom passed away in 2021 due to an illness. Ever since then, I feel like I'm always exhausted. My sister is on her phone all day, either watching YouTube, she's on Twitter, watching a movie, or talking to her boyfriend. She doesn't do any chores, and she's a full-grown adult, 23. It's like I'm obligated to do everything here, even talking to people coming, doing grocery shopping, paying the bills. I'm so tired. While she's got that bitchy attitude and the bitch face all day. She's even got the guts to ask me for money constantly. I have no obligations to her, am I right? I am not putting myself up on a pedestal here, but I really think I'm being too kind and lax. I mean, she's not my obligation since we are just siblings. I'm not her parent. Before mom's passing, she's always been like that. Even at the hospital, she was of no help. And damn, we don't even have that much of an age gap. This is frustrating. I'm thinking of moving out of here before I slap her. But then I'd have to worry about the rent, furniture, appliances, while she gets to lay down all day here in the house that's not even hers. There's a lot going on here.
Well, I think this person needs to take a look at the legalities of everything. Of you moving out. I mean, whose house is it? Who has the property? That would be... Yeah,
I wonder if it was a 50-50 split.
And if it's a 50-50 split and you want to sell it, guess who has to move? Both of you. And that would be done, or she'd have to buy you out.
Which I don't think she can do.
And you can take her to, then she have to sell it. Then it would be a court-ordered sale. So that's your thing there. As far as the business, and you're running your mom's business, as long as she doesn't have a 50-50 stake in the business, yes, you can kick her out. And if she doesn't have if she does have a stake in it, then you'd have to buy her out. Yes, stubborn, lazy, but at the same point, if you can buy her out, that fucking, trail of money stops that she just gets to keep collecting. It's not really clear here on how this is all set up. Those are the two key components. If you own the business and your sister doesn't, and you're just giving her money out of guilt, then stop giving her money. You're basically feeding a homeless cat is what you're doing. and they're just going to keep taking and taking and taking until you stop.
Why you got to bring cats into this, man?
Homeless chihuahua, homeless ferret, homeless, insert animal here.
Okay.
And if you just keep giving and they keep taking, they're never going to stop. This person never learned to be an adult, obviously. This has been their MO through most of their life. And if you don't have a good relationship and she's just going to keep pulling you down, yes, be an adult. Get the fuck out of there before you're like 44 and you're still living with your sister and nothing has changed. And they find you, hanging from a fucking closet because you couldn't take it anymore. Don't continue to let this eat away at you, because you may think you can handle it now. you're just going to get worse. You're going to get anxiety, depression, and everything else. So yeah, there's going to be a time where you got to say, this is done, and do whatever you need to do legally to make it work. Or you can sit there because there's the bond of you being sisters, and continue to be miserable.
I wonder if mom on her deathbed said something to the responsible daughter, take care of so-and-so.
Well, that's nice and all, but that's also very not fair.
Yeah, it's not. And you don't have to do it unless it's written down on a piece of paper as a legal document that you signed. You have no obligation to her.
And that wouldn't be even if it was written down, like you have to be a caretaker for a fully capable adult for the rest of your life. No. I mean, that'd be an emotional thing and you'd be deciding to break that. But, if that's what your mom said, she's wrong. You don't need to be the caretaker. She may know the daughter's a total fuck up and has been her whole life. That's easy to tell when you're a parent. But at the same point, it's your life. You don't be a victim to this person and ruin what could be really good. It sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. Just figure out what's going to be making you happy and peaceful, and don't keep living in this. Again, don't keep being a victim to something that you have control over. There are paths in this. There's nothing that says this is your plight in life to take care of your sister forever and live in the same house forever and worry about the furniture, rent, and appliances and make money for everybody. There's nothing. Nothing says that. There's no orders to you from anyone that says that. I'm sure your mother would not want that for you. So don't make it your life and identity.
Well, the other thing, too, you don't have an opportunity to start your own family if you are just basically the mom, the surrogate mom to your sister.
To an adult. I mean, it's one thing if if like the daughter was like, or the other one was like 13. And I'd say, you're
That's
her close. Then try to do your part. Kids are going to be narcissistic and not do their part. That's kids. But she's 23. So it's time to learn how to be a grown-up and figure that shit out. Otherwise, she never will.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. It's going to take some attorneys being involved. It's going to take the sale of the business and the home and some upheaval. But I think once the dust settles, you'll realize you got your life back.
Yeah, and you may not even need. I mean, sit down and talk about it first. Sit down and say, "Look, I want us to be our separate people," and see if you can just come to an agreement without getting attorneys involved. And if there's a lot of shit that's just 100% in your name, that's 100% in your name. Don't be guilted into giving shit to somebody that's not theirs to begin with either. But if there's some of that where it's kind of shared, then you got to figure that out. And that may take a legal process.
Yeah, and it may take some time for sure. But, there's a lot of guilt here. She mentioned that she has to worry about the rent and appliances and things. Maybe some counseling would be in order to learn how to establish your boundaries and let go of your responsibility to your sister.
Well, it does say rent, which is interesting, which implies it's not an ownership. So move out. and you don't have to worry about the rent and furniture and appliances. If she wants to stay there, she can pay them. If she can't afford them, then she can move as well.
That's a really good point.
It's really kind of straightforward. A lot of emotions get mixed into this, and that's fine. It's people, and you get that. I know sometimes I probably come across as very cold, but I'm only like that when someone is not doing their part or basically abusing the other person. And that's what is going on here. This sister is abusing the other by not taking responsibility and basically just being a pariah on them. So unless she steps up, you're an adult, it's not cold. It is not cold. It's you being a grown up and her refusing to be one is all it is.
Oh, it's really true. It really is. Easier said than done. I can tell you that.
Sometimes I feel like I'm Dr. Laura.
Right? Well, you kind of are.
I do call shit out pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. But you've also been through a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's from if there's something I don't know about, I'll say it. I don't know. I have a lot of experience in some of this shit, and it's just like here's what works, here's what won't work, and it's up to you. It's up to you either way on this. Keep doing what you're doing. The same things will keep happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. You don't like it, then change it. That's up to you.
Well, we all have that opportunity to change our circumstances. We're not stuck.
Exactly. Yeah, I've done it many a times, as you know, many of us have. So thank you for sharing that. If you want to write in, we'd love to hear it. Give us a email or a letter. You can send it in through our website directly. A little form there, completely anonymous, crazyfampod.com. That's crazyfampod.com. Or you can call in 24/7, 833-CRAY-FAM, 833-272-9326. And that's going to wrap up today's episode of My Crazy Family. If you like the show, support us. Check us out on Apple Podcasts. Get access to all of our episodes, ad-free, advanced episodes, the archive. It's all there for you to binge away on right now through Apple Podcasts. Just look up My Crazy Family. Until next time, for Stacey, I'm Tony. Thanks for listening to My Crazy Family.
Let crazy and insane. My crazy family.